Greetings from China. The Asian Le Mans Series is back and we are glad that you are joining us. Of course, the first race of the season is happening tomorrow right here at Shanghai International Circuit. I'm Nadia Nash, your host. And the grid is looking to be a fiercely competitive one with new generation LMP2 cars fighting for outright victory. We have got series newcomers in LMP2 M category, and of course we shall see if the defending champions for LMP3 and GT class will be able to defend their win. And we are also looking forward to see if the bolstered GT class are going to do any better, because we have got many new entries for that class. So of course we have been here for a couple of days. Teams are just revving up with free practice, getting everything ready for the big race day and also for what's going to be happening today. Qualifying sessions, of course, the GT cars will be out on the tracks first, and then followed by LMP2 and LMP3 cars together in one session. So be sure you stick around for that. But before we get into any of such action, I'll introduce you to our series commentators. Once again, Graham Goodwin and Jeevan Selvanathan are with us. Hi guys!
It's great to be back for the Asian Le Mans Series 2019-2020 season, and here at the Agile Lohas World 4 Hours of Shanghai. Jeevan Selvanathan and Graham Goodwin, of course, one of the voices of endurance racing, back in the studio. Graham, Nadia touched on a lot of the new angles, new aspects for this season. So many things to talk about. We'll get into them as we get into them, of course, not just today, but over the season as well. Round one of four races at 4 top-class circuits across Asia, and for the first time going to Australia as well.
Everybody's looking forward to that trip down to the bend. We're here for 4 hours tomorrow at Shanghai International Circuit. 2 qualifying sessions, quick-fire 15-minute sessions to come. First of them starting in just a few minutes with a much-bolstered GT grid.
Yes.
9 cars here, 4 Ferraris, 3 BMW M6 GT3s, and solo efforts representing a Lamborghini and the Aston Martin Marks. We're looking forward to that one. Then a new look LMP2 for the overall. These new to the Asian Le Mans Series 600 horsepower Gibson V8 engined LMP2 cars. Qualifying records and race records are going to be smashed in this championship. These are much quicker cars. The older LMP2 cars still here in LMP2 AM, they'll be hanging on in there and looking for success, looking for their automatic entry for the Le Mans 24 hours, and then LMP3 as well to bolster this out to a 26 car full season entry. Magnificent stuff.
Yeah, it's new drivers, it's new teams, it's new manufacturers, and of course, as you said, I think what we're going to see first in this opening GT qualifying session is one of the biggest GT classes we've seen in a while. This is, if I'm right, the 8th season of the Asian Le Mans Series. We've seen a number of teams come through. As we look at the track map right now, 5.451 kilometers, 16 corners, and what do you make of it? That's 9 rights and 7 lefts.
It's a tricky track. It's a track of several different phases as well. It really is tricky to get around those first 2-3 corners on a crowded track. For me, pretty technical, the start of this lap, and then you've got that massive drag strip down the back straight, which launches you into 2 really tricky corners to finish the lap. Lots of overtaking opportunities there, lots of opportunities for instant 2. This, though, is the opening sector. Turns 1, 2 and 3. As you can see that wall there, that is the rise and fall of this track as the GT cars are going out to start their session. Something like a 4 or 5 story drop, not very far at all, as it winds itself around. 2 of the BMWs there, in fact all 3 of the BMWs there in shot. The red and black car is one of the 2 cars from Astor Felice Racing, and then our returning champions from 2 seasons ago, FIS Team AAI, with a single car there. 3 BMWs, as I said, 4 Ferraris, the Aston Martin, and what a gorgeous car that is in its deep green livery from D-Station Racing in Japan, and a solo car from Japan as well, the Japan Lamborghini Owners Club Huracan. That car, though, Jivan, another nation making its first appearance with an entry in the Asian Le Mans Series, the blue bonneted Ferrari behind the car guy.
T2 Motorsports?
Absolutely, first ever Indonesian entry in the Asian Le Mans Series, and it is delightful to see them here.
That is fantastic, and in fact it is actually one of the classes that has really defined the Asian Le Mans Series, because if I'm right, from those 9 cars, it's just one of those cars that isn't actually from Asia.
Absolutely. It's a big, big change this year. I think Car Guy's success in their opening season Asian Le Mans, they always said this was a multi-year program to get to Le Mans. They did it in year one. They're back to defend that title and to try to get back to Le Mans again in 2020. Here they are. It's Antonio Fuoco making his GT racing debut. If you've not heard this young man's name, amongst other things, he is a current Ferrari Formula One sim driver. A very able young man indeed. We'll talk you through some of the big names who are involved here. Factory drivers galore in GT as the cars start out onto their first flying laps. It is going to be Jens Klingmann, by the way, in the number 17 Aston Veloce BMW, a BMW factory driver. Joel Eriksson in the FIS Team AI car. Davide Rigon in the Hub Auto Corsa car, the 27 car we've not yet seen. A Ferrari factory driver. Andre Cueto in the J-Lock Lamborghini, a man with a lot of GT racing experience and much success. Ross Gunn is out in the D-Station Aston Martin, another factory driver.
And it is fantastic if you think about the dominance that Car Guy Ferrari had in last year's GT class. Probably not going to be facing that with this facing that situation again with this bolstered class with so many great entrants in it.
This is first sight we've got of the J-Lock Lamborghini Huracan, the Huracan GT3 Evo, but I think you're absolutely right. Lots of unknowns here. Lots of drivers that have never raced against each other. Lots of drivers that have certainly never raced in this company, and lots of drivers that have never raced in a mixed format sports car race either. Through goes Lamborghini with the very distinctive V10 howl of that Audi and Lamborghini engine in the back of that car. Beautiful sounding car. It is the Macanese Andre Cueto aboard that car. Winner, of course, of many races around the streets of Macau. Has done a lot of racing around Asia and beyond since then. And he is going to be looking to make his debut at the Le Mans 24 Hours this coming year, if he can possibly make it through with his teammates in the J-Lock Lamborghini.
Now, we're just seeing on our timing screens up here in this first qualifying session that the Spirit of Race Ferrari hasn't actually been logged as a lap yet. All other cars right now have completed one lap, which means, as Graham said, they should be getting onto their flying laps now. If you think about it, there aren't lapping at around about 2 minutes. There aren't that many laps in a 15-minute qualifying session that you can put in anyway. So most of these guys are going to be looking to hit the pedal to the metal as soon as possible.
Absolutely beginning to get lap times in. The first to the top, Joel Eriksson in the number 90 car. As we watch the Hub Auto car on its first flying lap, it's a 2:04.864 is the mark to beat. So at the moment, it's the FIS Team AI car ahead of the Car Guy Ferrari, then the first of the two Aston Veloce Motorsports BMWs. As we watch Davide Rigon, a World Championship driver, of course, for the AF Corsa Ferrari team, a Ferrari factory GT driver, and he's another man making his debut here in the Asia Le Mans Series with this Hub Auto team that have been massively impressive with this Ferrari in all sorts of international racing over the last year or so. Great to see a team from Asia taking on the world best in GT racing, and they've chosen to bring this effort to the Asia Le Mans Series this season, and again, another team very firmly focused on trying to get this team to Le Mans.
Well, we've already seen, Graham, in just the first 6 minutes of this qualifying session, the change in leads in the standings. We were talking to Ross Gunn just yesterday in the pit lane. He was looking forward to putting that Aston Martin out through its paces and was actually commenting on how beautiful it was as well.
It was.
It's great to see it at the top of the table right now.
Yeah, 0.8 of a second up now, Ross Gunn in the D-Station Aston Martin Vantage. This is the new turbo engine car. We've not seen a picture of it yet, but when we see that, I think you're all going to agree it is a fantastic looking piece of kit. It's been racing in Japan all season. Ross Gunn joining the effort, the seats taken through the season in Japan by Darren Turner, moves over to the young gun, literally. Ross Gunn, a Aston Martin factory driver, has come through the junior ranks with that make over the last few years, and is absolutely firmly part of their future plans. Here though, Aston Veloce to the fore, FIS Team AI behind, coming through for their second crack at the flying lap here. So far, placing these cars in third and fifth position. What can they do over the line? Hub Auto Corsa, by the way, go to the top. Davide Rigon with first man into the 203s, 203.894. FIS Team AI. It is an improvement in time, but just shaves a further 10th, stays third. Number 90 car here. Car 17, by the way, loses a lap. That is the car we've just been watching. Jens Klingman does lose a lap for track limits. Mind you that race director again for the Agile Le Mans Series, a familiar name and a familiar voice to followers of endurance racing worldwide. Eduardo Freitas in race control, and will have no truck with issues around track limits. Drivers would have been told exactly what Eduardo expects of them in the driver's briefing, and those instructions will be followed to the letter, or else there will be consequences.
He is a strict man, Eduardo, but you need to have a strict man, especially when you've got this amount of cars out on track. Now, what do you think, Graham, has happened to that Spirit of Race entrant?
I'm not sure what's going on there, whether or not there's a delay, whether or not they're purposefully staying in to save the tyres and just go for a quick run at the end. But it's certainly unusual to see, with half of the session already gone, that Spirit of Race car, the 51 car, now leads the pits, by the way. Alessandro Pierguidi, previous course FIA World Endurance Champion, World Champion GT racer. So we've got all 9 cars have been out on circuit. T2 Motorsports, by the way, and the second of the Aston Veloce cars have pitted. 27 car, though, in the Hansa Davide Rigon, looking to see whether or not they can nail down this current session leading time. Is he going to go around for another crack? He is. It's a 2:03.894, stands as the time to beat. Can Rigon do better than that? And the answer is he can. Shaves another 10th off it, 2:03.760. This is Ross Gunn now. First chance to see the number 77 Aston Martin. Here cheers from Aston Martin fans around the world as they watch this fabulous looking deep green, not British racing green, but very close to it. Gorgeous looking livery on a very, very attractive car. This GT3 version of the car is already having success around the world, as well as the GTE versions and the GT4 versions of the same brand new platform for Aston Martin. This is a brand new world as you hear the car go rumbling by down that main back straight.
Now, one thing, Graham, just based on what we've seen so far in the opening 10 minutes here at qualifying session for the Agile Lohas World 4 Hours of Shanghai, how do you reckon this track is shaping up? Does it look slippery?
It's been slippery through the weekend so far. Looks to be maybe a little bit more grip now. We've had some racing this morning. The Chinese touring cars have been out, and we've had the free practice sessions for the Agile Le Mans Series cars as Ross Gunn bails out that lap. That's not going to show an improvement on his delta. So is he going to have a chance to maybe change tyres and get back out for another crack at it, or is that going to be enough for D-Station Racing? What we saw when the World Endurance Championship was here just 2 weeks ago is when the track rubber's in, grip is pretty good. But so far, yes, you're absolutely right, Jivan. We've been hearing from all the teams that slippery conditions, tricky conditions, and for many of these guys, of course, unfamiliar territory in terms of the cars, the tyres, and indeed the circuit. So it's taking time for drivers to get up to speed. In this session, though, generally speaking, it is the really quick guys. Amongst the guys we've not mentioned, by the way, who are out there, Rio Haryanto, the first and only ever Indonesian Formula One driver, drove for the Manor effort back in 2016. He is the star driver aboard the 75 car, and he is leaving the pits right now for another crack at this. We're looking, though, at the quality act that is Alessandro Pierguidi, the 51 car, Spirit of Race, the only European entered GT in this 9-car field.
Well, once again, as you pointed out earlier, just so many new variables to deal with. We are actually seeing an entirely new fight and competition unfolding here in the first round of the Agile Le Mans Series for this year. Highly anticipated series, of course. It's been about 8 months since the 4 champions were crowned in the 4 classes from last season. And I can tell you now that the fans that watched in droves last year are back and have been watching all of the updates over the 8 months and just been waiting for this. And to be honest, the news has been coming thick and fast as well. Team entrants, whether it's in GT, LMP2, LMP3.
And a truly international entry, 13 different nations represented by the cars that are entered, 22 different nations represented by the drivers, and particularly delighted to see such a strong contingent from the Asia-Pacific region. Drivers from across Asia, Australia, New Zealand here. We'll be seeing a lot more of the Aussies and the Kiwis in the LMP session that follows on in just a few minutes' time. But that, for me, is the biggest news this year. It is the fact that the Asian marketplace has truly now claimed the Asian Le Mans Series as their playground. And if you want to come from Europe, that's fine, but you're on our territory.
Well, we did see a lot of European entrants in last season. Of course, but you're right, it is scattered around the world now. Now, just as we get into the last 3 minutes, we've got Haboto Corsa up front, the station racing in second, Spirit of Race, even though coming in late into the qualifying session, up into third, Team AI down to fourth, J-Lock down to fifth. It's moving pretty quickly, though.
Yeah, Car Guy just a second ago up into third position. You're absolutely right. Pierre Guidi pops into third, the established star in the Ferrari camp, but a new star in the Ferrari camp. Antonio Fuoco pops up into third place in the Car Guy, number 7. So 27 from 77, 7 and 51 in the top 4. It's pretty close stuff, though. It's 203.760 from Davide Rigon, just a shade over 204 from the Aston Martin Vantage with Ross Gunn, currently going to be on front row on pit lane as well, by the way. Antonio Fuoco is just, what, 600 second back from Gunn, and then 200 second back from that, Alessandro Pierre Guidi. It is tight, 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 the top of the order here. Also back out for another crack at this, by the way, is Rio Haryanto is out there. Also now the J-Lock car, and that has seen a change of driver in that pit stop. The J-Lock car now in the hands of Yusaku Shibata. Again, another man that's seen an awful lot of track action in Japanese GT racing, but his first crack at Asian Le Mans Series. Watch the Indonesian car though for a short while. Very attractive livery on the 75 car, the blue and red livery on this 488 GT3. Another turbo V8 engine car, very much the drivetrain of choice these days in long distance endurance racing. Gives you the power and the efficiency you're looking for as much as you can out of a tank.
Quick shot of the pit lanes. You see some of the cars coming in already. I think it's job done for a lot of them, with about just under 2 minutes left in the qualifying session.
There's not enough time for either of these cars to go back out. Clearly Hub Auto think they have done enough. D-Station Racing and Aston Martin Vantage, that car is not going to get another quick lap in. So it's now going to be down, I think, to what the two Ferraris can do. And indeed, Spirit of Race goes second. Alessandro Pierre Guidi gets in between the two by 1/1000th of a second, goes second to Davide Rigon. So it's Rigon and Pierre Guidi, the WEC drivers from the factory team, 1-2 at the moment for an all-Ferrari front row. The gap between the pair of them, about a quarter of a second. The gap back to third, with the yellow flag at turn 2 at the moment, is 1/1000th of a second to edge Ross Gunn back. Car Guy and Antonio Fuoco, by the way, has pitted and will do no better than 4th, but we've still got some quick guys out there, including Rio Haryanto, who is about to finish his flying lap on this second crack at it. Car 88 it is, by the way, that's stopped
That's
at
a
turn
J-Lock.
3, and he's actually got the car back going now. So there's, I think, possibly either grounds or a halter on a bit of a spin there, but the J-Lock car is back and running. The track is back to full green. We're 5 seconds from the checkered flag in this session. Of course, the cars will be able to complete the laps that they are on, but I'm watching what we're going to see from the T2 Motorsports car, and I think the answer is improvement in time but no position from Haryanto, but he has not taken the checkered flag. He does have the lap he's still on to make a difference here. So Hub Auto from the Spirit of Race car, 51. This car on the front row now with the efforts of Alessandro Pierre Guidi. He is not at this point going to improve his lap time. He's lifted off as he makes his way back to the pits. It's going to be Rigon and Pierre Guidi, with the only car I think that can make a difference here is going to be the 75 car, if indeed that car is up to speed.
And just to confirm, Ross Gunn is looking pretty settled in that third spot for D-Station Racing with the Aston Martin.
Yeah, the number 75 car, by the way, certainly just cleared a timing sector and is not to improve on this one. So I think we can call it here for the grid for the GT class. It's going to be an all-Ferrari front row in GT. The 27 Auto Corsa car for Davide Rigon with a 2:03.760. He's at 2 cracks at that time. Shaved another. Shaved another 10th and a half. There is Davide. Unfamiliar black overalls for the Ferrari factory man. And joined on the front row by teammates in the WEC, but for rival here, Alessandro Pierre Guidi with a great lap in the 51 car, a 2:04.041. Second row, and just by 1,000th, is going to be Ross Gunn in the number 77 D-Station Racing Aston Martin Vantage, and completing the first 2 rows. It's 3 out of 4 Ferraris in the top 4 positions here, because that's going to be Car Guy with Antonio Fuoco coming in 4th of the 9 cars.
Fantastic first qualifying session there for the GT cars. And were you surprised that the Ferraris have basically dominated this?
It's pretty close. I mean, looking up and down the order, there's about a second between the top 5. But at the moment, they're looking for the kind of sprint performance out of these cars.
Yeah.
Could be very different when we get into full stint racing tomorrow, of course. 4 hours to come for these cars. They're perfectly capable of doing that full tilt with really impressive reliability and efficiency. But what we've not yet seen is whether or not the performance over a single lap can be repeated by the Ferraris better than the competition over 4 hours.
Yeah, but very close in terms of timing, especially for the wide variety of cars that we had. It was just the Lamborghini that possibly had a spin. As you said, it did continue as well, but very, very close split times from all of them.
Very close indeed, and the other key point here, remember, this is Pro-Am racing, so it's going to be the bronze-ranked drivers that are going to be the deciding factor here. Before we talk a bit more about that one, we need to actually get back to pit lane, speak to Nadia. Nadia down there at the moment with the man who set the pole position in the Hub Auto 27 Ferrari. Nadia is with Davide Rigon.
The man we want to hear from exactly is Davide Rigon, of course, from Hub Auto Corsa, because he has just made pole for GT. You're smiling. We want to hear how you're feeling. Of course, you're happy.
Of course, many thanks. Actually, very happy because we prepared properly this quali. Thanks to all the team. Hub Auto did an amazing job on the practice. We have no issue on the car. I was very happy about the balance of my car during my lap. Yeah, so the engineer did a good job. So thanks to all the team, and now focus for the race. It's important to start on the front, but the race is long, it's 4 hours. So now let's focus to the race. I'm happy because I did just 2 laps with the tires and not use an extra set, so just 1 set of tires. So very happy, and now let's hope to have a good interview tomorrow in the first place.
Speaking of tomorrow then, is there any kind of strategy going into the big race tomorrow, the first race of the season?
Oh, I mean, the strategy is to push and doesn't do me any mistake. Do our best. I think we are well prepared. Our car feeling very good. But the competitors are very, very close. So the other drivers are also very good. So now nothing. We do our best. We try to be focused, don't commit any mistake during the pit stop and that. And also we need to avoid the traffic with the LMP. It's not easy. So nothing. We do our best, and finger crossed for tomorrow.
Fantastic. Congratulations once again, Davide. So we're hoping to say great things from him and his teammates, of course, from Hub Auto Corsa. Graham, I'm sure you've got lots to say about that. We'd like to hear it from you.
Thanks, Nadia. We love to see a happy racing driver. That was one very happy Davide Rigon, joined in the 27 car by Marcos Gomez, a very established racer in Brazil in stock car racing there, and by Maurice Chen. Maurice Chen, the team owner, who's very, very keen to go back to Le Mans, where he's been just once before. Can't wait to see it. Should say a little bit about the weather here. We've had some really nice weather the last few days.
Yes,
It's getting cooler,
yes.
and it's also quite humid here. A little bit of kind of, I say mist, maybe a little bit of fog, smog around at the moment, but cooler conditions. They do seem to be finding a bit more grip out there on this Shanghai International Circuit this afternoon, and that's going to be particularly important when we get to this next session coming up in just a few minutes' time. That is going to be 17 cars across the 3 classes, 7 cars in the LMP2 class, 2 to 4 cars. We'll explain why we say that in the LMP2 AM class, and 6 cars in the LMP3 class. The first session we're going to see competitively in the Agile Le Mans series with the new Gibson engined LMP2 class, these 600 horsepower cars. Then we've got the LMP2 AM cars with about 500 horsepower Nissans, and then the cars, you can see one of them at the end of the pit lane there. That is one of the Graf Racing Norma. That is a 430 horsepower Nissan V8 engine LMP3 cars. Lots and lots of storylines. There's one unknown, which is, are we going to see the Rick Ware Racing cars emerge for qualifying. I'm expecting we might see one of them. There have been some serious logistical problems for a couple of the teams getting kits, caboodle, and in some case cars to their circuit. And Rickware Racing have been showing a huge amount of patience. We've had no little support, by the way, from the rest of the cars, rest of the teams in the paddock to achieve getting those cars out there. There's the weather.
Yep, as you were saying earlier, it was expected to be much colder, but the weather here in Shanghai can be very variable. 20 degrees is what we've actually all enjoyed, but that has, with the 11-kilometer wind and the humidity as well, led to, as you said, a lot more grip. It was great to hear Davide Rigon talking about just the setup of the car just now as well. And when we do end up getting with the LMP2 and LMP3, we will be seeing one of the cars from the Inter-Europol competition, and we're gonna, before we get there, of course, one of the big teams that has really succeeded in LMP3 last year was Inter-Europol. They're making a big attack into LMP2, and Nadia is down with one of those Inter-Europol drivers right now, Jakub Śmiechowski, if I'm right. Let's get down to Nadia.
Yes, we are right here in front of the garage for Inter-Europol, and Kuba Śmiechowski is with us. Right, a few seconds there. Has your car gone out for qualifying?
Yeah. Matthias Besch is doing a qualifying. He's just went into the queue, so it's gonna start in 2 minutes. I think we got a pretty good car, and I know we can fight here to be on top. So we'll see what will happen. The Carlin car is pretty strong, and the G-Drive car is also pretty strong. Eurasia is also pretty strong, so the competition is there. But we're pretty confident that we can fight with them.
Fantastic. Great to see you racing in a new category, in a new class, LMP2 this time. So we can't wait to see what you and your teammates have to do. So all the best to Inter-Europol, of course. Back to you in the commentary box.
Good to see Kuba back in the Agile Le Mans series, of course, a reigning champion LMP3 stepping up to the mighty Gibson engine Ligier in LMP2. One of 2 cars the team are fielding, Polish flag team, lots of absolutely international crew in that car, by the way, both in driving terms and in the garage. We'll be telling some of those stories as things move on, but great to see a team showing real ambition to push forward. 3 cars here at Shanghai, may even be more for some of the races still to come in the Agile Le Mans series this year. We are seconds away from the start of the LMP qualifying session. 17 cars potentially across those 3 classes, and we wait to see whether or not we actually see the 52 car or the 25 car from Rickware Racing. Though those cars have now arrived at the circuit, been waiting for a long time. One quick story to tell, by the way, even if the cars don't come out for qualifying, the 2 drivers in the 52 car have qualified for the race after assistance from a competing team. ARC Bratislava stand up and applaud our Slovakian friends because they gave seat time to Cody Ware and Mark Van to allow them to put in their essential laps to start the race. Sportsmanlike behaviour from a competing team, and our defending champions.
Yeah, and of course one of the big things about the LMP2, LMP2AM and LMP3 classes this year is that for one of the first times in the last few years, we're actually going to see a lot of different manufacturers in there as well.
There are. We've got a real mix as we look again at this circuit. This is the 16-turn Shanghai International Circuit. Tricky stuff at the start of this lap, particularly when the tyres are cold. It's 3 turns, but it's just like the longest turn in the world, and it is somewhere where we often see incidents. It's where when you catch a slower car, you can lose a huge amount of time. And what the Gibson engine cars here, that's the Thunderhead Carling car, the blue, white, silver car there coming into shots. It's been one of the paciest cars on the lot. Coming through the 2 LMP3 cars with the 34 Inter-Europol Ligier, and other Gibson cars there looking to get by the LMP3s, get a clear run. They get a clear lap for their first flight lap of this season in qualifying. In terms of the drivers, we're currently seeing out there in the number 45 car, it is Harry Tingle. Plenty to say about him in the 34. Matthias Besch, both very familiar names to people who watch international sports car racing. Garrett Grist is out there in the number 3, Nielsen Racing Norma. Garrett more familiar as United Autosport driver, and then Ligier, so looking to get get some time there. David Drew in the Graph Racing, number 9. Norma. This is the Norma's LMP3's debut in the Asia Le Mans Series. Alessandro Bressan is out there with the number 12 Ace 1 Valorba Corsica. That's a bright yellow LMP3 Ligier. The very familiar name of Roman Rusinov in the G-Drive Racing by Algarve combination. There is that car, the black car with the orange stripe down the nose. That is the Auris badged Oracle chassis effort. Combination of G-Drive Racing and the Cox family owned and run Algarve Pro Racing team. That's going to be a car to punch you with as well. It's Roman who's out in that. Into Europol's defending championship car in LMP3 in the hands of Nigel Moore, the 13 Norwich City liveried Ligier. Roberta Merry, second of our Formula 1 heritage drivers, is out there as well in the Eurasia car. Sean Tong in the K2 Chino Racing 96 Orica, the first ever Japanese entered LMP2 team. Dominic Ang in the 5 Benissa Racing 65 Ligier. But we're on to flying laps now, Jivan, and this is, I think, one of the most beautiful liveries in sports car racing, and a team that is looking for success here in Asia after it evaded them in Europe.
Well, as I was saying just before, these different manufacturers that have turned up, the car that you're watching right now, the Dallara, of course, chassis for the Thunderhead Carlin Racing team, they have absolutely excelled themselves in the 2 private tests that happened before this first LMP2 qualifying session, with Jack Manchester especially topping the charts. So it's no surprise to see them on flying laps here as well. But it's actually Eurasia Motorsport that are topping the table right now, Graham.
It's Eurasia Motorsport about to go through with, we're not yet seen though, a full flying lap. It's going to be the Thunderhead car that does that first. And Harry Tinkle is pushing hard, and I think he's put a gap in terms of the time and on track here to Matthias Besch and then Roman Rusinov. So it's going to be 3 quick guys first to set us flying time. And Harry Tinkle has absolutely got his dander up. Harry, of course, still a Mazda factory driver in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship in North America.
Former Le Mans winner.
Former Le Mans winner in LMP2 in old money. And then former Ford and Nissan factory driver on his CV. So 3 different factory contracts that young Harry Tinkle's got. He's a firm and established star in sports car racing. We're about to see just how quickly the Dallara P217 can go around this Shanghai International Circuit. 2 black cars there behind the 2 P3 cars. It's the 33 car, the second the Inter-Europol cars, another car that's been delayed on the way in. So the 33 car, I think that is. No, that, apologies, that was the 1 Eurasia car. And then the 96 K2 Chino Racing Orica. So 2 Asian entered LMP3 cars, and that's something to do your heart good. It's Matsukaka Yanagida in the number 1 car, and in the number 96 car, as those 2 cars come through, it is going to be Sean Tong in the K2 Chino Racing Orica. Top of the charts though is not Harry Tinkle, it's Roman Rusinov. It's a 153.410. It is 26 thousandths of a second quicker than Harry Tinkle in the chasing at the moment, number 45 Dallara, with the 34 car, Matthias Besch, about a second further back from those 2.
And I wonder if that is going to be a statement of intent for the season ahead of us right now, just exactly how close it was from those 3. But a great performance so far from G-Drive Racing by Algarve. That is, of course, as you said, that great partnership from Algarve Pro Racing, one of the old hands of the Asian Le Mans Series, now with that G-Drive unit.
Absolutely, Algarve Pro, of course, an overall championship winner just not that long ago, a couple of seasons ago. And into Europol's 34 car in the hands of Matthias Besch lets Rusinov go. Matthias Besch, I think, is just looking for space without pressure to get the best he can out of this Ligier. Roman Rusinov, having set a provisional pole time, is not, I don't think, going to improve on this lap. He would have been costing just a 10th or 2 finding a way through from the Ligier. There's Harry Tinkle ahead. How's he going? He's not quicker in the first sector on this lap than G-Drive car, but he's rather quicker on the second. Is it going to be a competitive time, or is this going to be time heading for pit lane for Harry Tinkle? Well, we're about to find out. The 59 car, meanwhile, is the first car to have 2 laps deleted. That will be track limits at turn 16. We saw this again as Roman Rusinov bails out of that lap. I think Harry Tinkle has done the same. So they've both come down pit lane, as has Matthias Besch. Track limits at the final turn. will give you an advantage at straight line speed across the line. You don't just lose that lap, you use the lap after as well. And the 59 car, that is the RRM Sport car, the LMP2 AMP class car from RRM Sport, the Orica 05, in the hands of Arjun Maini, that car goes through with a 156.645. I think we'll lose the other 2 laps that it's put in this session thus far.
So a lot of people are going to be looking for that track limits, especially set on a very slippery track. About halfway through now with this LMP2, or LMP really you should say, qualifying session. And good to see the K2 Kushino Racing team with Sean Tong at the wheel up to 5th right now, actually in the pits, but they were lagging a little bit down in the order, back up to 5th. That's the first time that is a Japanese entrant in the LMP2 class. Great to see.
Great to see it. It's giving the opportunity in this Agile Le Mans series for new markets for sports car racing to be tapped, and LMP2 is one of them. Has not made a dent in Japan. This is the first dent, and a name again familiar to followers of European racing from maybe a decade ago. Haruki Kurosawa involved in this effort as a driver, and indeed is one of the guiding forces behind it. So,
and of course that's the only Orica 07 Gibson car out there.
Absolutely, with the other Orica being badged as the Aurus 01. A quick look there of 2 of the LMP3 cars, the Ace 1 Valour Corsa Norma, and one of the Nielsen Racing Engine car. Big little lock up there for the number 9 car, the Graf Racing car. It's David Drew trying to wrestle this car around. Nigel Moore currently leads the way in LMP3 from Colin Noble. So 2 men that have done battle throughout the European Le Mans Series. In fact, 4 men who've done battle throughout the European Le Mans Series this year. Nigel Moore, Colin Noble, Garrett Grist and David Drew are doing so again right now. It's the Ligier out of 3 Normas at the moment. David Drew in this car, this is the Graf Racing number 9 car, currently in 4th position LMP3, looking to do what he can to edge back. There's a bit of a wiggle in the middle of the turn 15 there, edge back on the gap, back to the 3 cars ahead of him. Out and back into the fray comes the number 34 car. It is still in the hands of Matthias Besch. 4th position now, because to the top of the order goes one of our Asian teams, the 36 car, in the hands of Roberto Meri. Eurasia Ligier goes to the top with a 153.191, 2/10 clear now of Roman Rusinov. So it's Ligier from Aurus, from Dallara, from Ligier, from Orica. It's a very different looking order, and it's great to see
really
3 of the available 4 LMP2 chassis in action this weekend. And by the way, the 4th that's actually available, and there's only one of them going to be operational this year in LMP2 form, will be campaigned in America by the Rick Ware Racing team, the team that's currently struggling to get their cars on track. They only arrived at the circuit just minutes before this session, so if we can find a way to get them out there, they will.
Well, one person, of course, that we know very well from the Agile Le Mans series, who's going to be smiling very hard right now, is Mark Goddard, the team principal from Eurasia Motorsport. Great step up to LMP2. We are very used to seeing them in LMP3, of course, Eurasia, but topping the charts right now and getting into this business end of the qualifying session.
It'll be an absolute delight to Mark. His team, British citizen, Mark, but his team based in the Philippines. He's lived out here for many, many years. Used to be a stalwart of UK national motorsport. He's now a stalwart of Asian motorsports, and their first crack at these Gibson engine cars is 2 cars for them. The New Zealand liveried car and their traditionally blue, orange, red if you like, and silver car, and it's the silver car, the 36 car, with Roberto Meri now on pit lane that currently leads the way. Looking for where the changes are coming from. Nigel Moore brings the car, his car, down pit lane. Looking at what's happening in LMP3, I think Colin Noble has been docked some laps here because he's dropped to the bottom of the field.
Interesting to see Nigel Moore, of course, used to race with the Viper Nisa Racing team, has made the switch to into Europort competition. Very fast car for Nigel, very fast driver. He's now topping the LMP3.
Yeah, he's been racing in this car in Europe through the season. There's still controversy around the end of that season. That will be settled later this week with the appeal against their exclusion for the final race that cost them the championship and an automatic Le Mans place for Martin Hipper and Nigel Moore. That hearing will be later this coming week, back over in Europe. But for right now, Nigel's going to be most interested in putting this car on top of the pile. And Gerrit Grist and Nigel and Colin Noble, by the way, looking to see what they can do in the pair of Nielsen Racing Normas to do something about that. It looks to me like Nigel is just sitting there and waiting to see what they can do about it. He's currently got 0.6 of a second advantage as Colin Noble's about to come round to complete his latest flying lap, and that puts him third. So it's now Moore, Grist, Noble, Drew, Bressan and then Dominic Ang. That's the order in LMP3, whilst in the lead overall of the order it is still Roberto Merri from Roman Rusinov, from Harry Tinknell, and those three men are back out and running for another crack at pole position with just 3 minutes to go.
And of course in the LMP2 AM class as well, ARC Bratislava leading RLR M Sport. Brickwear Racing, as you said earlier, facing those problems, such a tragedy with those logistics.
It absolutely was. It's the other car, by the way, that suffered slings and arrows of track limits misfortunes is the RLRM Sport car. Arjun Maini has not set a flying lap yet, needs to do it now. He's out there and has not so far set a flying lap. We've not, I'm afraid, seen the Brickwear Racing cars. I'm sure we're going to see at least one of those in the race tomorrow. So 24 cars at the moment setting times the grid across the 9-car effort we saw with GT. But this is Roberto Merri trying to warm the Michelin tyres for what I'm sure will be another crack at pole position to grab the headlines here. But I'm watching as well Matthias Pesch putting in some very quick sector times at the moment. He's beginning to show signs that there's a bit of fight left yet in the 34 car. At the moment, Eurasia, G-Drive, Thunderhead Carlin into Europol. That is the Ligier from the Aris, Dallara, and the second of the Ligiers. There are 4 LMP2 Ligiers in this field. 1 Dallara, 1 Orica, and 1 Aris badged Orica chassied car. And this is a very different LMP2 grid makeup that we're seeing right now, with green sector times beginning to show. There was a change. Arjun Maini finally putting in a lap time that counts, but it only puts him second. That would have been a banker. He's going to be looking to see what he can do to leapfrog Kang Ling in the ARC Bratislava Ligier, that's still ahead at the moment. It's a 1:56.893, something like 3 seconds off the Gibson engine pace. That didn't look that quick into that turn from Roberto Merri. Let's keep an eye out and see what comes from there. Potential trouble, by the way, for Harry Tinknell. Loses a lap, turn 10, on his lap 5. That is the lap he's just completed, so the next lap will count again.
But a great start for Roberto Merri in any case, and Harry, both topping the LMP2.
This is not a quick lap at the moment from Roberto Merri. I think he was putting himself out there to be in a position to respond if he needed to do so. We've got less than 40 seconds on the clock. The clock on the screen, I'm afraid, is frozen. But trust me, it's under 30 seconds to go before we see the checkered flag in this session.
17 now.
So remember, cars that cross the line before the checkered flag can complete those laps. Roberto Merri is not going to do that. Not quite sure why he's warming the tyres here with 6 seconds to go on the clock. So he's not going to complete this lap in time to start another flyer. But looking out there to see who might improve. Roman Rusinov still going quite quickly, setting faster sector times for himself. 1:53.410 is the mark he needs to better. He is going to get the current lap he's on. Roberto Merri, I'm pretty certain, is going to pit here. Also, I think, likely to be looking for a quicker time. Gerrit Grist, by the way, has gone to pole in the LMP3 class and will bring the car to the pits. Spotted that one. Gerrit Grist on the previous lap leapfrogged the effort of Nigel Moore, is not on track and cannot respond. It's a 2 minutes, .112 for the Canadian. So Nielsen Racing looks like they're going to set pole position in this class. Gerrit Grist from Nigel Moore, Colin Noble and David Drew. Drew is still out there, but is, I don't think, going quickly enough to make an impact. That's Harry Tinknell completing his run. That is an improved time, and he goes mighty close, by the way. It's half a tenth the gap at the end of that session. 1:53.191 it is for Roberto Merri. He is going to be on pole position from Harry Tinknell with a 1:53.242. And Roman Rusinov still out there, but I don't think going to improve. A 1:53.410 edges out the best efforts. Matthias Besch in the Inter-Europol Endurance 34, a 1:53.457. Really very close indeed. That was well worth a watch, those 15 minutes. Gives us an idea of the form at the top end of the market in LMP2, and gives us an idea too about the kind of race pace we can expect to see tomorrow over 4 hours here.
Well, it's a good run out from these JS P217 Nigers for sure, and that you definitely saw that you were talking about the difference in the horsepower, about 100 horsepower between the old spec cars and the new spec cars. We definitely saw that laid down on the asphalt. Great from Eurasia, Thunderhead, and G-Drive, essentially all three of them fighting. And maybe that's what it's going to be like tomorrow when they get racing for the first time.
It's great to see it. It's great to see a different looking grid. It's great to see these cars.
Larger as well, yeah.
Absolutely great to see these cars in the Asia Le Mans series where they belong now, joining the rest of the sports car racing world with these fabulous 600 horsepower V8 engined LMP2 cars, I say up to around 200 miles an hour at the end of that main straight, and a huge amount more downforce and grip than we've seen from the previous iteration of LMP2 cars. And the times tell us the difference there. 3.5 seconds quicker.
And especially that was in LMP2. Of course, LMP3 we saw a lot of great fighting as well. Nigel Moore sitting kind of pretty at the front of that list for a while. We always knew he was fast. He's put in some of the highlights of the season in past seasons in lesser cars, if I may say that. That's no disrespect to Douglas Koo and Viper Nisa.
No, but what we saw there was, I think he was wrong-footed by the Nielsen Racing crew, because Garrett Chris pulled something out of the fire right at the death of the session. His last flying lap leapfrogged the Englishman, so the Canadian in the Scottish liveried, English entered French car with a Nissan engine,
that's right.
very international, will start. Norma start from pole position in their very first Asian Le Mans Series race.
It's so well balanced, the LMP3 class. 3 Norma M30s for making their debuts in the Asian Le Mans Series, and those Ligier JS P3s that we've loved and we've watched fight throughout season after season for the last couple of years, and it was finely balanced throughout that.
It's a great gratifying session to start the season. Sad that Wreckware Racing couldn't make it out there.
Yep.
I'm sure we're going to see I think we'll see the 52 car tomorrow, without a doubt. But for now, what we've got are the 15 cars that actually came through that session, came through without any real dramas.
Now, if I had to really put you on the spot there, Graham, in terms of MVP, I think that we have to. There's a lot of people on that list, but I think Roberto Merri joining the season is definitely one of the names that we'd have to talk about. Let's get down there right now. Nadia is with Roberto Merri.
Of course, we have got Roberto Merri here with us. He just got out of the car, although he didn't look like he just did. Smiles all the way. So you're going to be making pole position?
Yeah, I am very happy because it's like the first race I have done this year. I haven't raced this year because I didn't find any good place to race. Then the first race, obviously, on pole, and that's pretty good. First time with Euroasia. I mean, it's really good for me and also for them to start tomorrow on the pole. It's really important for us. Because obviously we want to win this championship, the Asia Le Mans Series. It's a really attractive championship for us, and we will try to do our best. The team has done a really good job give me the car that I needed today, and was really good. Super happy with the performance of the car, with the team in general. It was everything a little bit new for me. I raced here in Formula One in 2015, and now back with this car. I took a little bit of time to adapt the car to the circuit, but we did it, and then I am very happy with the performance.
Tomorrow is the big race day. We know your teammates Aiden Reed and also Nick Foster is with you, right? Yeah. What is the mindset going forward for tomorrow's race day?
I am very confident for tomorrow because our weakest point was one lap pace, and now we are on pole. Then I think it's not too bad for us, and I know Aiden and Nick, I just met them this weekend, but they have done so far a really good job on the car. I am really confident with them too, and I feel really happy to have them as my teammates. I'm sure like between all three of us, we can do a good race tomorrow. Like I tell you, the thing that I was more worried about was the qualifying performance, and we were really quick. Then I am not so worried about the race. We only need to stay on track, don't make mistakes. I know Aiden has done many races on the LMP cars here. He won, I think, last year the SLMN series. Then I am very confident with Aiden, and I am also very, very confident with Nick, because I am sure they both have the skills to do a good race, and with me together, I think we are the stronger combination out there. Then hopefully tomorrow we can have a nice race.
A great step today, of course, making pole position. Congratulations to you and your team. So, Graham or Jeevan, I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about Roberto Meri here, who says he's, getting used to LMP and the Asian Le Mans Series.
Getting back used to LMP, ex-Formula 1 of course, with the Mana Marussia team, but also no little experience with Mana in LMP2, both in the World Endurance Championship and at the Le Mans 24 Hours, but another very happy pole sitter. Isn't that nice to see with Davide Rigon, big smiles on his face. Roberto Meri clearly very pleased to be here, a driver of sufficient quality that he needs to be in a proper race car. He said himself it's his first race this year after 2 years in the F2 championship.
Absolutely, and I think that we went looking at both of them and how they have adapted to this in the opening session. Now we will be having a look back, of course, at the highlights very, very soon. This is the first qualifying session for the Agile Lohas World 4 Hours of Shanghai, opening the Asian Le Mans Series for 2019-2020. Let's have a look back at how it went.
We're back at the Agile Le Mans Series and qualifying 9 of the GT3 cars in this GT class from around Asia, with just one of these cars from Europe and a great mix of fabulous cars out for a 15-minute quick-fire qualifying session. FIS Team AAI are back in the Agile Le Mans Series after winning the championship 2 seasons ago. The number 90 car was very much in the mix, but Hub also Corsa, locally based team here in Asia, the number 27 car with not locally based, fabulous factory driver Davide Rigon would bring that car home for pole position. The 13 car, defending champions in LMP3, would go up against the Normas and a couple of extra Ligiers in the LMP3 class. The number 12 car from Ace1 for Laura Corsa was in the mix, but later on in the session it would be others that would be to the fore. Great to have, though, the brightly coloured number 12 car, the Italian-Japanese fusion in this championship this year. The Graf Racing car, David Drew, the number 9 car, the Norma M30 LMP3, with a wobble through the penultimate turn, was in the mix as well. Drew looking to see whether or not he could put the tricolour liveried Norma onto pole position. But at the death of the session, it would be Garrett Grist, Canadian driver, stepping over from United Autosports into the Asian Le Mans Series with rivals in Europe, Nielsen Racing, moving over from a Ligier to a Norma chassis. He would leapfrog Nigel Moore right at the end. 34, the Inter-Europol LMP2 car, lands of Matthias Besch, part of a 4-car train at the top of the standings. But Roberto Meri in the Eurasia entered 36 car, the Spanish ex-Formula 1 driver with some LMP2 experience on his CV would come through to make the first pole position in the Gibson era in the Asian Le Mans Series, and the Ligier JS P217 it is that beat out the Oricas and the Dallara. That's what it means to Roberto Meri in his first race of 2019. That's a way to start the Asian Le Mans Series 2019-2020.
That your pole sitter for tomorrow. Qualifying sessions are over.
Well, that was absolutely fantastic stuff from the highlights for the first qualifying session. And let's get down to Nadia. That's all from us in the commentating box today.
Wow, that was a blast. Qualifying sessions went by just like that. And now you know your pole sitters for tomorrow. We're inching closer to tomorrow's big race day, the first race of the season. Make sure you join us tomorrow morning. We are streaming the race live and in full just for you so that you don't miss any of the action. And with that, that's it from us today. We are going to be so happy if you join us tomorrow. But thank you for joining us today. I am Nadia Nash saying goodbye from Shanghai International Circuit. And we can't wait for you to join us at Agile Lohas World, 4 hours of Shanghai tomorrow morning. And goodbye.